Saturn in astrology is not the bad guy that you think it is, and I'm going to give you an analogy to understand Saturn and more specifically the event of your Saturn return, as well as astrology as a whole. So think of school, right? I think we've all been to school, so we should understand how school works. And at the very beginning of the year, you're given a syllabus. A syllabus is given to you from the teacher, and it's something that details the subjects and the curriculum that you can expect for their semester, as well as like rules and whatever the teacher has for you. So in astrology, your natal chart is like your syllabus. It is your own personal syllabus for you, given to you at your birth. And I'm gonna expand on that in other videos, but in this video, I want to specifically focus on Saturn and your Saturn return and where that kind of falls in this school analogy. The narrative now is that your Saturn return, especially your first one, is going to be a hard time in life. It's gonna be where you experience hardships and etc. But actually, what's really happening at your during your first Saturn return, which is around the ages of 29 and 30, is you're being tested on everything that you have learned in your first 30 years of life, and more specifically the lessons that Saturn wants to teach you. We all have a Saturn is in a sign and it's in a house in all of our charts, so that is like the specific lessons that Saturn has for you. So think of your Saturn return as like your first one, as like your first exam during a school semester. During a school semester, the first few weeks, you might have a little pop quiz here and there, but the first exam usually falls like a couple weeks, usually like midterm exams, and then you have final exams. Now, the beauty of that is it's just your first exam. And just like in school, it doesn't necessarily hurt you in terms of the entire semester or the entire school year for that matter. You can still pass even if you didn't do well on your first exam. Your first exam is just a way, it's like a reflection. It's showing you, okay, here's where you're at in terms of everything that you've been taught during the school year so far. So now apply that same logic to your first Saturn return. It's kind of like an exam that's saying, okay, here's in terms of the specific lessons that Saturn has for you. It's like, okay, let's quiz you on that. Are you anywhere close to learning these lessons that Saturn has for you? And the only way that it would feel scary is if you didn't really prepare or learn. Just like how in school, obviously exams are scary for everyone, even someone who's probably studied really hard, but you'll know that if you've been studying and you've been putting in the work and you've been showing up to class, that you have a better chance at passing this exam and you won't have anything to worry about in terms of like your grades and whatnot. But if you have not been showing up to class, or if you haven't been doing well on your other assignments, like your homework assignments, then yeah, if you bomb this exam, it's going to feel extremely scary. Or not scary, but like it can actually hurt you in the long run. It can hurt your grade in the long run. This is not to say that your Saturn return is going to be rainbows and sunshines. It's just to say that it's not doom and gloom either. It's literally neutral. How your Saturn return is going to be for you is going to be dependent on if you've been showing up to class, if you've been doing all of your other assignments, if you've been paying attention in class, and if you've been studying and asking questions when you need to ask questions and understanding the course material. Saturn isn't here to make your life hard. Saturn is saying, because you have free will, you are the reason why you're making your life hard. And I'm just giving you a test to show that. Just like how if you fail your exams or any quizzes, that is a reflection on you and how well you understand the material, or if you've been showing up to class or not. You can't blame the teacher for why you failed the test. You can't blame the teacher and get mad that they're testing you. They're just doing their job. How well you do on the test is dependent on you. And so that is what Saturn is. You can't blame Saturn. It's not the Saturn return, and it's not the exam season. And keep in mind, again, going back to having a syllabus, you know when the first exam is coming up. Most teachers will detail all of the dates for these types of things in the syllabus. So you know that you have a Saturn return coming up. You have your first Saturn return, and then there's a second Saturn return. The second one is in your late 50s. And then if you have a third one, that'll be in around your late 80s. So you know the dates for every single one of these exams, these Saturn exams. It's up to you to prepare. Now, granted, that is easier said than done. No one said it was going to be easy. No one said the course material in class is going to be easy, but it's up to you to know where you are in terms of understanding these subject matters that the teacher's teaching you, and get help where you need it, because the exam is going to come for you regardless. The exam is going to be on the date that it's going to be, and it's going to be for everyone regardless if you are prepared for it or not. And I know that some of you guys might be like, well, what if life happens? Like, what if it's not my fault? What if something happens to me that is out of my control? And even if that's the case, that still doesn't change the fact that you have an exam coming up. That's like saying on the day of the exam, your car breaks down, and so you miss it. Let's say the exam was in the morning and your car broke down, so you couldn't make it. The teacher is going to be like, oh, dang, that sucks. And that's really unfortunate, but sorry, you missed the exam. And it's not fair that you get like another time to take the exam when everyone else has to take it on this day. And most teachers are going to be like, well, you knew about the exam since the beginning of the semester. So even if something unfortunate happens to you that is completely out of your control, that doesn't stop the fact that you still have lessons to learn and that you're still going to be quizzed on those lessons. That is actually part of the lesson. Part of the lesson is learning how to work around hardships or things that happen to you out of your control. And again, Saturn is not making any of this happen. You're not having bad things happen to you because of Saturn. Saturn is here to see how are you going to get through these bad things that happen to you, whether they're self-inflicted or things that happen to you out of your control. And it's going to be easier said than done. Trust me, I know. It's life and stuff happens, but you still have to keep living, and you still have your life lessons that you need to learn. And I know that this might not necessarily make you feel better because it's still an exam. Your Saturn return is still like exam season, and exam season is always scary, even if you've prepared for it. But hopefully now you understand that Saturn isn't out to get you or punish you. Saturn is neutral and is just testing you to see where you're at. Saturn is currently retrograde in Pisces right now until the end of the month. So if you have Saturn in Pisces, you are still being quizzed, and you have a few weeks left until you are out of exam season, done with the exam. And then Saturn will go into Aries. So people with Saturn in Aries, y'all are about to have your Saturn return. And then by 2029, those who have Saturn in Taurus, like myself, we will have our first, it'll be my first Saturn return, but it'll be Saturn return for those who have Saturn in Taurus.